this is your first fireside chat since you became executive chairman. We'll talk a little bit about the new role. You've had an incredible career so far. You're a fountain of knowledge and of course, a pivotal figure here for luxury retail in the Middle East. You've steered the Chalhoub Group to significant growth, transformation. You've got so much to share, but I think we have a little video first before we get into it. Wow, yes, round of applause for sure. I think that film demonstrates how multifaceted the Chalhoub Group has become under your leadership and the incredible partnerships that really have solidified your position in terms of luxury in the sector. And I want to really try and sort of focus on the luxury element over the next few minutes. You've, of course, spearheaded many innovative retail concepts, Level Shoes being one of my favorites. And you're a great sustainability champion, and rightly so have been honoured many, many times, including the Legion d'Honneur, for all of your efforts and contribution to our industry. So firstly, thank you for everything that you have done so far.
Thank you, Caroline.
This front row seat that you've had in terms of growth of the region, growth in the group, but particularly the growth in Saudi, gives you a really specific insight. And of course, over the course of today, we've all heard a lot about the local consumer, what we need to be doing, what we need to be considering, but I would really love your views.
I mean, there is so much to say. So first, I would moving from the position of CEO to the position of executive chairman have brought me to think a little bit. What can I share as experience before getting back to Saudi and to the luxury market in Saudi Arabia, and how should we share it? And I think that one of my intakes is really to be able to build around any leader a strong team, a team which you could rely on, a team which you could empower, which you empower, not you could empower, you have to empower them.
And you have a great team, I have to say.
A great team, collaborate well together, and then be humble enough to continue listening listening to your customers, listening to your people, listening to your peers, and never think that you know it all, but on the contrary, continuing learning, because, I mean, we saw it in the session before. There is so much more and so much things which develop so quickly that often you could become irrelevant if you do not have this attitude of continue learning, moving ahead, and leading the way. So what I would say about luxury, and so there was this day where we had a lot of experience shared, and not to repeat anything which everyone perhaps have heard before. First, we are blessed to be ourselves into the luxury industry, an industry which is very aspirational, an industry which has developed tremendously. We speak about a slowdown since some months into the luxury industry, 12, 15 months, but we forget that after COVID, the industry has grown of 30, in the Middle East of 50%. So it's normal that sometime in any industry you have a time of pause, a time of reassessment, a time of moving ahead. Sometimes I'm hearing all our luxury partners really pushing that we need to go more and further, etc. We sometimes need to pause, accept, and continue making quality work, doing it well, not only looking about growing further and further, and doing it fantastic. And this is, for me, quite important in a market which still is a growth market. Because again, we are blessed to be in Saudi Arabia, a market which has developed tremendously, and we heard it from all of it, which economically is becoming a power part of it, but also where we have seen this societal change which has happened now a few years ago. Societal change which empowered much more of our Saudi consumers, and making them more aspiring for getting the luxury experience and luxury part of it. So we have a duty not to disappoint them. We have a duty to always remain pushing the desirability of our brands, pushing the asset of the brand, and doing our work the best way we can, giving a fantastic service, giving a fantastic experience, not only by words, but also by facts.
I mean, fantastic advice. Let's try and unpack that a little bit. So what you're saying for the businesses that are moving into Saudi maybe for the first time, and let's think about Saudi specifically as a market as we're here. You know, your advice to them when they're coming in is to do it gently, to do it in a considered way, and to be mindful, of course, of thinking about the local culture, audience, and embracing that.
First, to be authentic to themselves, not to try to be not to be, and we heard it before. Second, to absolutely try to connect and understand the consumer, the market, being by having the right partners, having the right studies, or having the right teams, but really not come as a conqueror, but also not have too high expectation at one go. When we see and we hear about those mega projects which are happening, it's mind-boggling.
I think there's so much optimism in there. You could get carried away.
Yeah, of course, optimism, enthusiasm, etc. But it will not be built in one day. Things will not happen in one day. So people often have, and some of the brands could have very immediate expectation, and they want to see the results, and they could have it. But the most important is to be able to build gradually, build something which is sustainable in time, sustainable for the longer term, and catch and connect and engage with our customers in order to do it. So not to be too much in a hurry. Have patience, have persistence, and also it's a market which needs investment. Again, a lot of ideas is to come here and it's a gold rush and then we are going to collect money. But be it the brand themselves, their distributor, their partner, the retailers, it's a long term. I mean, I have some of the experiences of very successful brand. 3 years after we introduced them, we were about to close it. And if it's not with persistence, with patience, with investment,
approach.
I will not name the brand. Today, by far, it's the market leaders. So we need this patience, this persistence, this belief, this investment, and not only going to this gold mine and trying to catch it up and moving forward. And we need to engage with our customers and move ahead with them.
So I was quite intrigued earlier because it resonated with something we talked about on the telephone the other day, is that for the businesses, like the example that I think it was Princess Noura came of Dolce & Gabbana opening, and really thinking about a capsule collection that is really focused on the domestic audience. You talked about the importance of local collaboration and really thinking about embracing maybe some of the startup businesses, of which there seems to be a really sort of rich group of entrepreneurs here in Saudi Arabia, is really think about those local collaborations. Are there examples that spring to mind for you that have been successful?
I mean, there was a very recent example of, I think it was Adidas, who has made it with Kif, who started in our greenhouse, and they're part of it, and they made a fantastic collaboration which has been quite successful. But there could be different kind of collaboration. It could be a collaboration into the product, it could be a collaboration into the marketing, it could be a collaboration, make an event with some calligraphy, with some poetry. We have to maintain all the time creativity and innovation in order to see how we could link, connect, use. And again, we are in a market which has always and traditionally have consumer very much influenced by their friends and family. Today, the circle of friends have increased tremendously. We have one of the highest digital engagement into the world, the highest mobile penetration, and all this is circle of friends which could influence the people. But the new phenomenon we are attending is that today the consumer in Saudi, more and more, and we were speaking about Generation Z, has his own opinion. So yes, they are influenced by a lot by their circle of friends, bigger friends, a lot of influencers, but more and more they are getting their own opinion, and they are becoming much more assertive into doing it. So we have to speak to them because they are the one who will more and more own the narrative. It's not the brand, it still will be the influencer and the people, but also the customer themselves will own their own narrative.
And do you think the Saudi customer, because we've talked a lot about it being sort of a young population, digitally native, is that influencing the design and experience in store?
Absolutely. I mean, again, we have tendency always to try to replicate the same thing everywhere, every place, and have those. I mean, the example of Dolce & Gabbana is a good counter-example. So we really need to adapt into the way we can discuss, we can engage, with the kind of experience we will be able to create in order to be able to attract this younger customer, and at the same time be true to ourselves. At the same time, continue to developing the desirability of the brand, the mystery of it. Whatever luxury, affordable luxury, ultimate luxury, we still have to work about it so people could aspire, get inspired, desire, then delight them.
They do. Is that we've touched on today sustainability, obviously, as a challenge for the industry. And how's that resonating with the Saudi customer? And I wondered if you want to share maybe some of sort of your beliefs in terms of the way businesses are approaching sustainability.
So globally, I would say we see a customer for whom the sustainability is still a good to have, not necessarily so engaged that we would like them. It's true that the new generation is more and more engaged, but it's not necessarily the argument which will make them make it or break it. I think we are still into the stage where we really need to have the personal belief into it. So either, I would say, for organization, for businesses, their leaders, to have this drive of wanting to push it further, not only expecting our political leaders to push it, and definitely the consumer is more and more getting engaged and aware. But it starts with ourselves. We start with what we want to be, what we want to do, and the way we are doing our business. And it's true that when we speak about sustainability, I mean, we are a family business, and for us as a family business, creating a sustainable business is very important. But how can we create a sustainable business if we are not living in a sustainable environment? And how can we create this sustainable environment? So there is a lot of things which each one can do individually on our day-to-day. I see so many plastic bottles still circulating and offered to me still into it. I refuse to take it. I have my engagement. But in any case, all this is to say it really starts by itself. So to take our example, we have engaged in our sustainability tribe since about 14 years, and we engaged very much in Saudi Arabia as well. We engaged passively. We started looking into it, and more we became really activists into it. And what I mean by activists is that today our sustainability tribe, first, we are trying to measure it. What we cannot measure, we can never be able to improve. So we try to measure it and to improve it, and we challenge ourselves, putting ourselves targets in order to improve it. 2, we incentivize all our teams into being able to develop the sustainability drive and doing our business in a responsible way. And then in everyday action, how we build the store, what are the components in which we are going to build the store? How we will be managing the waste management in our store? How can we reduce our carbon footprint and move ahead in all the elements in order to do it? And I would say the more we move towards it, the more we feel that even our partners, our suppliers, our peers are getting engaged, but also the message is getting through to our customer. But again, it has to be genuine. It's not a question of ticking the box. It's a question to really be engaged, totally engaged, and make it happen. And we are far from reaching it with everything to it. But every one of us has a big role to play into it, individually and collectively.
We do, and I think as an industry, whether it's sort of retail, hospitality, or fashion, whether it's high street or luxury, there has to be a sense of purpose and an opportunity really to collaborate and share learning so that we can accelerate.
And there is many means. I mean, circularity of the economy. We spoke about it, how to engage into it. Different materials. We were speaking with some of our partners on using different kind of materials, but also how we act in our everyday. We haven't yet succeeded in Saudi to put all our solar panel in place and to link to the grid. So also we have work to do with the government, with them. One day they will put pressure on us. They are putting also pressure on them.
Just thinking about sort of another sort of sense of sustainability is the idea of sort of community and ecosystems. We saw in the video the Retail Academy, the idea of training and learning and development. Is that how are you seeing those ecosystems come together in Saudi that maybe are more established in other parts?
So it's true that in Saudi we had this challenge a few years ago to integrate in our workforce people who didn't have the experience of retail or of work. But it's true also in other countries in the Middle East. Sometimes we were recruiting people who had fantastic diploma, who were doctors, engineers, or who were street smart. So how can we make sure to bring it at a certain level and give them this enthusiasm? This is where the idea, and again, now it has been 17, 18 years that we started our Retail Academy and moving it and improving it, and then we opened the university, the faculty. We have now 7 departments. The last one is about AI. So when in Saudi Arabia we moved into integrating a workforce which was not yet used to work, it has been a fantastic way for us to be able to develop our teams and to put them at the center. And again, we never put any condition on them that they would, so they would come, they will follow, 50% of them would leave, but that's good for them if they want to leave. But
well, it's a gift to the industry, thank you so much.
Gradually do it. But it's also, if we continue this and we continue this learning drive, to our teams, a fantastic motivation tool, because whom from our team don't want to develop in his career, develop in his knowledge, and obviously doing the job, develop them, but also going informal learning, develop them. So a fantastic drive, but also we have to remain pertinent. What's nice is that our diploma, which we delivered, which was done with the British Institute, has been now recognized by so it's legally recognized in Saudi Arabia and moving forward. So it's a fantastic way of recruiting, of making sure that we have consistency in the way we do our business, but also of motivating and developing our teams. But it doesn't stop anymore in retail, because when you are into the retail, you have now more and more to be exposed to many other parts of it. So we have the Leadership Academy for our leaders. We have the AI Academy, which we have started on, and we continue drive.
That's wonderful. And you're just sort of setting us up for the future by developing all of this talent. I've had the sign that we've got to wrap up, but I've got two more questions that I'm going to squeeze in. The one is really your advice in terms of if you were coming without all of the knowledge that you have, or with all of the knowledge, if you were coming for the first time into the region, what is the sort of one piece of advice you would give? Is that where would you put down your first bricks and mortar store? And the second then, which I said I would ask you, is sort of your manifesto, if you like. If you had 3 takeaways for us for the future, what would that be?
So if a brand is coming and want to establish into the region, again, I would say they have to clearly define what is the ambition and what are they targeting for. And obviously, if they are targeting to develop the business with their customers who are coming from all over the world or from different nationality, a lot of visitors and tourists, they have to go to the places who attract those visitors and tourists. If they want to attract, to build a business, and it takes more time for a local market to develop this local market, to develop those customers, which they will see in those local market and they will see abroad, then it's very, I will very much and strongly recommend that they will do it in probably the biggest local market. But again, if they are very much fashion forward, perhaps in a smaller place. So I don't think there is one formula which suits everyone. It's really to understand the ambition, to make sure that they have the right possible teams, partners, or whatever in order to be able to do it, and then to do it with carefully. So it's too easy to say, yeah, we have to start with Dubai because Dubai is the touristic place. You know, we have to start with Riyadh because this is where we have the biggest potential. It's really to understand and match the ambition which we want to establish, and then the targeted customer which we want to have. But every time it's done, there is investment which is there. It's not only an easy catch which could be there. And then if I had to conclude,
3 things.
So 3 things. The first one, and even if I repeat myself, is patience and persistence. Patience and persistence, which I feel is extremely important, especially into this part of the world. Sometimes things takes a long time here, but when it happens, it really happens. But it can take a certain long time. We shouldn't give up too quickly. We shouldn't be stupid at the same time. The second one, which I would say, is really if we, and it might be true not only into the Middle East and in Saudi Arabia, but it's very true here. If we want to do business in this part of the world, we have to really want to acquire our local customer. And my father used to say, if you want to do business with the Arabs in general in Saudi, you have to love the Arabs. You don't come and make the business if you are not. So really making sure that there is a kind of engagement with the customer. And engagement means also able to listen and to understand and to adapt. And the third one is really making sure that there is the right team in place who will be able to motivated and the right team. So it could be the partners, but not only, and the right teams who will be able to develop it. It comes, and again, it's not only the only part of the world, it comes to people. And the right team goes also from the motivation we get from those right teams.
Fantastic 3 things. I could listen to you all day, but thank you so much. A round of applause, please, everybody. Patrick Chalhoub.
Thank you, Caroline.